think the last time you talked about it, you said you told him, well, call me when you're ready to fight. Is that what
Yeah,
you're still
I
saying?
haven't heard a word from him. Exactly.
How about the welterweight picture? You have Rory McDonald with the big win, and of course you have Carlos Condit and Woodley coming up here. Who do you see maybe taking on the?
I don't know. It's interesting. It's fun. That division's fun right now. I've been hard on Rory his last couple fights, but he looked great tonight. I was really happy with his performance.
What were your thoughts in the first round? I mean, the first round didn't go so well.
Yeah, but he was in a full mount by a 5-time world champion, and he got out of it. Took some punches in that round, hung in there. Yeah, he looked good tonight.
Then what happened on the gate? Didn't you say earlier in the week it was going to be a $2 million gate and only be $1 million?
When they just handed me the thing right now, I said, "Are you fucking shitting me? It's 1.5." Swear to God, I just said that walking in here.
Do you know what happened? Like why there was a discrepancy?
No, I just found out right when I was walking in when he just handed me that sheet. Good question, though.
With Tito stepping down as Cyborg's manager, does that really help open up things here for her in the UFC?
It's not. Listen, it's not that Tito being her manager was whatever. Tito's not a manager. Tito managed his own career into the dirt. You know what I mean? I mean, the things that he said, the infamous, amazing press conference that he held that day. I mean, his press conference is what did all the damage to her. It's not about it being Tito. Tito Ortiz and I have had a lovely relationship for a very long time, and he still fought in the UFC, and we still did business. He's not a businessman. He's not a guy that should be running anybody's career. He wasted, how long now has it been for her? He literally wasted, in this job, in this profession, you have no time to waste. You have to jump on every opportunity and make as much money as you can make. I'm assuming like he wasted like 2 years of her life and 2 years of her career.
But it sounded like, earlier in the week you were kind of against Cyborg, but tonight
it's not that I'm against. It's not that I'm against Cyborg. It's that she's been put in this box. Tito built this box and stuffed her in there and really hurt her bad. If she goes to 135 pounds, she will die. A doctor said it. A doctor did this. A doctor did that. Who wants to ever fight first at 135? Not me.
But she's not on your pay no mind list. I mean, if she can get to 135, test clean, obviously.
Yeah, let's see if she stays clean. She gets a couple fights at 135. She's healthy. She's safe. And fights that matter. You don't just get a couple of fights at 135 and come in and step over every girl in the UFC and then get his chance to fight Ronda. You know what I mean? It doesn't make sense.
What did you think? Because Ronda admitted herself she was worried about pay-per-view. She said, maybe this was too quick of a turnaround for me and people didn't get to miss me. What do you think? In retrospect, did it feel this big as week?
I think it's awesome. I think it's awesome that she feels that way. Yeah. Yeah. Did you see the main event when that thing went off tonight? Did you see the building? Will Smith flew in here. Him and his wife came in. They wanted to meet Ronda first thing when they got here. That's what they came here for. Flew in from LA to meet Ronda. Yeah. So yes, the answer is yes. Tell me in the history of combat sports, 2 women headlining a card that did what tonight does. Okay, if we do 750 pay-per-view buys, it's still the biggest women's fight ever.
What are your thoughts on...
And this gate, even where it is still $250,000 bigger than her last gate.
What are your thoughts on Daniel Cormier right now in the light heavyweight division? Obviously, before he dropped, there was a lot of anticipation about him possibly being a very good title contender. He's already had words with John Jones. Now he's saying, if somebody gets injured, I'll fill in and that sort of thing. He said he thought he'd have to fight again, but it does seem like there's so much momentum behind him. Maybe in your mind, you'd certainly like to see him back in there sooner than later.
I agree. I thought he looked awesome tonight, against the guy that everybody, was hyping up and talking about, and he treated him the way he needed to treat that guy, and he did it. There's a lot of guys that can go in there. We've seen it many times where there's fights where a guy goes in against the tougher, less-known guy and doesn't come out looking very good, It's like, well, he didn't look good in that fight. Well, how's he going to look against this guy? He treated that guy exactly the way he needed to treat him. It looked fantastic.
Just going back to Nick Diaz for a moment, so he was in here earlier, he did a really scrum, and he was saying that he only wants to come back to fight for the title. Is he a viable contender? If he agrees,
I haven't even heard from Nick Diaz. Nick Diaz called and asked for tickets. But I don't know. We haven't even heard from Nick Diaz. It's not even worth talking about. He hasn't fought. He hasn't wanted to fight. And he's not even in the picture.
He sells fights. He sells pay-per-view, doesn't he?
Right.
That is the one thing he does do.
Yeah, but so he should be able to walk right into a title fight?
Well, I'm asking you.
I'm asking you.
Yeah, I do, yeah. I think it might work.
Then we'll do it.
Hey, Dan, you joked about everybody saying that the end fights were too quick tonight, but in the beginning, when there were all the decisions on the prelims and it was starting to look like it might be the same as the last 2 weeks, did you have any concerns?
No, they weren't, because the second fight of the night was a knockout.
Coke was great, but the rest were decisions. There were some decent fights.
Oh, I don't. What are you going to do? You can't sweat that stuff. You can't go crazy about that stuff. It's a live sporting event. Guess what? The last Super Bowl was one of the worst football games I've ever seen. It's supposed to be the best. You know, it doesn't happen that way all the time. We were on a crazy, unbelievable streak over the last year and however long, where every fight was just absolutely insane, and then the next one was even crazier. You get Hunt and Bigfoot, and then the next one, you know, it doesn't roll that way all the time. You know, we had a couple fights with some decisions, and now tonight all the fights were, you know, some good quick knockouts. It's going to happen. Both ways.
Did the new bonus structure present any new challenges for you in terms of determining who would get those bonuses?
Nope.
I mean, is it working the way you'd like it to? Because obviously there's going to be some people eligible.
The way it works is money goes out the door. Right. That's how it works. That's what we.
But you've got the option now of rewarding some people who wouldn't have qualified prior.
I like it.
Because of
there's a $10 million pot this year. $10 million bucks. I want every dime of that $10 million to go out to the fighters. I don't want there to be a situation where there's, you know, there was no submission, there was no this, there was no that. In this setup, it's impossible for a bonus not to go out, unless the fight sucks so bad one night that we're just like, you know what.
Did you guys keep stats of how often that happened last year, where you didn't have a submission or you didn't have a knockout? It didn't seem like it was that often.
It only happened a couple times. Yeah. But as I started playing with this thing, I started to realize how much money, because now we're doing so many fights, how much money it was. Almost $10 million bucks. It's like 9.8 million. I want 9.8 million of that to go out the door. Every dime of it.
So was it your call to change the structure? Was that kind of your
Yeah, I mean,
idea?
it was me and Lorenzo. Yeah.
The other day we were mentioning how Phil Davis has been waiting for a fight for him. Now that Cormier is free, I mean, would a fight like that make sense?
Yeah, good, maybe. Yep, anything's possible. We'll see what happens.
What do you think about Anderson already getting back and working out? And do you think he might be rushing it, or do you think
so the doctor
right
came and showed me his bone tonight, right? His legs, and he said this is actually crazy. Look at all the bone growth that he has in 8 weeks. He's like, sometimes you don't see that kind of bone growth in people over a couple of years. Yeah, pretty crazy.
So pretty optimistic that he'll be back.
The doctor was, yeah.
What kind of timeline were they giving him? Are you aware of the timeline?
That he could fight by the end of the year.
Do they leave that rod in?
Huh?
Do they leave that rod in his leg?
No, I think they have to take the rod out. Yeah. I don't know that. Don't quote me on that, but I think so. I think they do.
It just stays in the pinhole.
Yeah? Well, there you go.
Could you give us an idea, just to follow up on this?
Oh, they did? Commission told him he could keep the rod in.
Yeah, I've heard that it can go either way, but I don't know if he's made a decision. I think if you take it out, it takes longer to come back.
Exactly.
Take
the rod out a lot longer.
Could you give us an idea, based on that optimistic news, where you're at percentage-wise? You mentioned the idea that, you know, if all things went well, Anderson could come back before the end of the year. I mean, has this news drastically improved your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's very optimistic.
Yeah.
You know, we'll see what happens. I mean, anything could happen. He could hurt it again in training, or, you know, anything is possible, or start training and not feel the same. We'll see how it all plays out.
What do you think?
We have a meeting with him on Wednesday.
That's what I was going to ask. What do you think the next milestone?
Lorenzo and I are going back to his house on Wednesday.
And just
Pettis is doing great. He's on schedule, healing well, and he's doing fantastic.
Do you think that fight with Jose Aldo is going to be the next one? Or
I don't know. We got to see how long. You know, it's like talking about Kane in Mexico right now. We got to see when these guys heal and when they're ready to fight, and then we'll go from there.
one more injury update, if you could. Conor McGregor, how's he coming along?
He is coming into LA.
I think he's already here.
Is he here?
Yeah.
So he's in LA, he's getting checked out. Good? Yep. All right, you guys.